Welcome to the Sunshine State for round 3 of the Hi-Tec Drift Allstars at Queensland Raceway, where both the famous Insurance Pro-Am and the Hi-Tec Drift Allstars will be running the famous 3 to 6 layout that enters onto the straight of Queensland Raceway. You can see a couple of drivers getting hyped in the pits after a full day of practice yesterday. We've had some mechanical gremlins, the heat getting to a few of these cars, but they're coming back strong for a full day of competition. Joining me up in the commentary booth is head judge Dan Mackey. And Dan, we're seeing some new faces in this series that could upset our championship points.
Beau Yates is sitting at the top of that tree. We've got Kudo El-Huli missing from this round. Scott Shembry and Matt Van Cote will be looking to make up a bunch of places and points if they can. But coming into the mix this round, Dave, we've got Josh Botcher and Levi Clark, both Queensland locals, both know the track like the back of their hands.
Don't forget Mitch Lana over from WA with a bit of IDC rep behind him. We're going to catch up with a few of those drivers now.
Look, I'm quietly confident. The car's fantastic. The Toyota Genuine Parts GT86, it's always a good performer. So, look, we went through practice yesterday. We did a handful of tyres. Obviously, late yesterday afternoon. We've gone into a bit of practice this morning. The car's, it's as good as it always is. So, look, I'm just really looking forward to getting into qualifying and seeing where we end up in the battles.
Yesterday we came out here and the weather's perfect and the track is super fast, super fun. We went through about 16 tyres yesterday. Not a problem with the car. We're chasing a few setup issues with the steering and handling. We got it to a point where I can drive around that. It's not ideal, but we're not too worried about that. But yeah, this morning, first lap out, alternator dead. I was chasing Shembry and almost ran into him, and I lost the power steering was the first thing to go. And I managed to keep it off the wall and rolled it in. The car's dead. So we've ditched the big dollar alternator and we put on the old one from the Toyota Aristo. We're just hoping that gets us through the day.
I'm looking forward to it. I've probably had a couple of years away from the championship type round, so it's good to be back. And I've had a lot of good battles with Beau over the years, and heaps actually. Levi and I, something happens, we just do rerun after rerun every time we battle. So if we line up, you'll see a proper show. But it's always fun with me and Beau. We're both 100% committed every time as well. So if we line up against each other, it's going to be fun.
Look, we feeling very comfortable today. We've got a lot of track time under our belt now. Yesterday we had really good runs, got lots of battles in as well. So yeah, confident today. I think we're going to be able to turn the table a little bit and nudge that top order a little bit harder.
It's all smiles in the pits, but it gets serious as the visors get flicked down. Dan, before we get to the business end, walk us through some of the judging today.
Well, we've set this track to make sure that it's really super flowy for the lead driver. We want to make sure they run a nice smooth arc, big open spaces for the chase driver to get up, and we've told the guys in briefing that they need to make sure they're taking that opportunity to get in that chase position. See Beau Yates just going through an outer clip there. He's going to switch it back about mid-track just here as he goes past that good right sign. Down through into the dipper, there'll be another outside clip on the right, again leaving an opportunity for them to dive up into the inside there. Switch back, hit that middle of the track, and then to run it all the way through the middle of the track, leaving plenty of room on the inside for the chase driver to get in position as they cross the line.
In true Beau fashion, he's managed to nab himself the top spot as well, something you may have guessed by his clinical walkthrough of the track layout. But we'll take a bit more of a look from the outside here with Beau filling up that outside zone there. Very snappy transition coming up here mid-track, just what the judges were asking for, and really a high-scoring run in a field of fierce competitors who have all managed to put scores on the board. But it'll be Beau Yates taking home the Scott Cole Memorial Trophy that the family have backed and come up to travel here. Really sad story there behind Mitch Cole's father, and a family who support the sport about as heavily as any family can.
Yeah, definitely condolences going out to the Cole family, but they do support drifting, and they would have been really proud to see some of these names stepping up. You've got Jordan Graham, Brendan O'Grady winning the wild card into the Pro Series, finishing 6th there. Josh Botcher showing he's a force to be reckoned with. But of course, we've got Mitch Doyle coming out and absolutely killing it.
Number 2 qualifier, Mitch Doyle. You came out of absolutely nowhere and cemented yourself in the 2nd spot. How does it feel? Beau Yates one up on you.
Yeah, it's pretty good. After unfortunately blowing the diff in practice this morning, having to pull the diff back out of the BMW. And I had Tristan and my old man swinging spanners this morning, getting it back in, and it's actually feeling pretty good. So the first lap of consistency, Tristan on the radio in the head, just go for it and don't hold back. So 2nd lap, 91.3, whatever it was pretty awesome.
a great qualifying result does put you in a fantastic position heading into the battles while being a bit of an ego boost. But here is where the event is decided, and we're into the top 24 highlights now of Pro Class. Matt Van Kirk in the lead in a borrowed Running Hearts Drift Club S13, going a little bit too deep on turn one and dropping a wheel, but Taylor Bomer in the chase seemed a little bit confused on that entry there for how to chase it. So in the judges' eyes, deduction of those two decisions, it looks like Matt Van Kirk's getting the nod and going through into the top 16. Next up, we have
Johnny Dreyer taking on Isaac Gett. So Johnny's up here for the first time out of this track. You can see running a pretty good line there, dropping into all those clipping points. And Isaac been battling that car with misfire issues all weekend, so doesn't look like he seemed to resolve those, although getting right up on his door there, Dave.
Yeah, very tight battle there from Isaac Gett, but the Angry Bird, as it's being nicknamed, John Dreyer's little bluebird, an angry little machine that gets through that course quite nicely. Speaking about angry machines, Levi Clark, the local, in that Turbo LS Exetti S15 going up against Brad Toohey in the twin supercharged 8.6. Both these cars cranking out incredible power, but it looks like the course familiarity for Levi Clark is going to get him the nod in the top 24.
Can you believe these battles we're getting in the top 24? There's a massive field this weekend, and it's been awesome to watch as we see the top 16 is going to see Beau Yates taking on Danny Probert, Mo El Hurley, Mitch Lana getting through into the top 16, good to see. Johnny Dreyer's going to take on Aaron Dwyer, Josh Botcher, and James Abbott round out the left side of the tree.
On the other side, we got Mitchell Doyle and Levi Clark. My boy Jordan Graham going up against my other boy Scott Shemry. That's going to be a hard one to watch. Senna Tunney and Matt Van Kirk and Brendan O'Grady up against Angus Kidd, also legends. But then again, who isn't in drifting? Anyway, enough from me. Let's get into the top 16. First cabs off the rank are Beau Yates. And, it's funny calling it a cab. Danny Probert, an ex-drift. It's probably very different to the XD Falcons we saw getting around every city of Australia back in the day. A bunch more power under the bonnet and a nutcase behind the wheel as well. Let's see how he goes against Beau.
Oh, he's gone in hard chasing Beau, and that's a big off from Danny, unfortunately. 4 wheels off. But I tell you what, Dave, if I got a taxi pull up to pick me up like that, I'd be catching a lot more of them than I do. This one, though, looks like it's going to have a heavy advantage in the way of Beau Yates, and we don't see him spin very often, so let's see how it goes in the reverse battle.
That mistake from Danny is a really easy one to make, because as you're coming down this long straight trying to pick your entry point, you'd see Danny's kind of jumped in on the handbrake a little bit, gone back on the power, but that corner is a lot tighter than it looks on camera. So you see a lot of people when they're using that run up coming in really fast, if you judge your entry point too late, the inertia of that car is just going to wash you wide. So unfortunately, just a bit of a balked entry from Danny, and again going deep there, just struggling to find where the entry point is. But Beau Yates showing his veteran's experience and true stripes here, where not phased, down a gear, drop the speed back a little bit, maintain drift, follow the judge line. Ooh, who's got the tea and bickies, eh?
Yeah, Beau Yates sitting there in his office where he likes to be. Tea and bickies, maybe scones, you never know, and jam. But yeah, just definitely comfortable. Beau Yates in the chase position. And like I said earlier, we've set this track up so there's lots of opportunities for people to dive up on doors. Even though Danny dropped 2 wheels, Beau knew he had the win. He's just sat there back in the smoke, popped out, said, yep, I'm here. Hello, I'm ready. Take the win. See you later.
Good win for Beau, but also a great demonstration of how much more comfortable Danny's getting with that car, using all of the available steering angle and obviously a bit more comfortable with the setup. So can't wait to see him at round 4. But before we get there, we'll need to finish round 3. We're out in front. We have Mo El Hurley blazing with Mitch Lana behind him, and not his first, but his second borrowed car of the weekend.
Yeah, that's right. Unfortunately, Dan Keneally's almost always reliable Hogster Silvia Ute threw in the towel. The fuel system broke itself down, and Mitch having to adapt to cars. He's been doing a bit of that recently, just jumping from car to car and working it out. So let's see how he goes in the lead. You've got Mo El Hurley, who I love to watch. He's always on the bake, always cooking, always aggressive, and looking hard to take those opportunities early in this battle, Dave, and get up in that pocket.
Really nice chase positioning there from Mo El Hurley. A bit shallow on the angle there and going quite to the middle of the track and inside there, which is a shortcut and will be a judging deduction. But other than that, just in there cooking, demonstrating, hey, I don't want to be on your door, I want to be on your headlight. And a spin across the line there from Lana. Ooh, it was after the judge section, but if the rest of the battles were to go by, It's a hard. I'm not going to make the call for you, Dan. I'm sorry.
Yeah, look, deductions for both ways in that one. It was a really tough one for us to call. Mitch Lana getting a bit excited there, maybe concentrating too much on pointing at the driver behind instead of where his car should be pointing. But for us, that one ended up going through to be Mo El Hurley picking up the win, and that's going to see him up against someone he's been looking to battle for a long, long time.
Yeah, unfortunately, to see Mitch Lana go home. If it was cricket, he might have got the one hand, one bounce there, but one hand off the wheel didn't get him anything in the judge's eyes. Anyway, Matt Van Kirk on the chase here with Senna Tunney leading in that big yellow boat, the R33 Skyline, with the pod filter of a V8 poking out the front. This car's got plenty of grunt, and boy, is Senna using it, blazing away with a very tidy run, but unable to shake Matt Van Kirk, who is all over him with some beautiful proximity.
Matt Van Kirk's been doing this for a long time back in FD over in America, and he knows how to chase. He got up there, he followed along, he got the pockets. What worries for me is that maybe Senna hasn't got enough tyre left now to chase that car down. You're starting to see a gap already established.
I just want to give Senna an honourable mention for actually putting some effort into the style of the entry into the first corner there as well. Bit of a scando, flicking it back to the track edge. Unfortunately, though, it seems that, showing off that style has hurt him a little bit in proximity in the chase position. And Matt Van Kirk just able to stand on that loud pedal and pull away. But look at that. Bettering the entry there. Just my hat's off to Senna Tunney. At least he gave it a red-hot crack of a stylish entry.
Definitely bettering the initial part, Dave. I'm not going to give you that point on the second half. Matt had a better angle into that entry, but yeah, I agree. You can see on the Good Ride replay here that Senna Tunney just getting too much heat in those tyres and getting left behind in the end.
Well, I reckon there's going to be some heat in the tyres of Aaron Jouar, the cloud machine, as it's come to be known, that big Jouar Racing engines, naturally aspirated V8 that sings. Have a listen. Of course, you can hear that tiny little Coke bottle of the SR20 behind him with John Dre there, mid 300 kilowatts in a tiny little Bluebird. This is what I love about drifting, battles between two distinctly different cars that can throw down on the same track. I think John Dre may have got a little bit lost in the smoke back there and disappeared in that mid-track section. But riding on board with Aaron Jouar here, you can see there's going to be a tight chase. He's keen.
Sitting just a little bit off him there, and he knows he's got the advantage. He would have looked back in his mirror, Dave, in the first battle and seen that poor little Johnny had fallen away. Oh, almost a spin and contact.
Gee, that's a hard one there. You could see Jouar just really hungry of after that first corner going, this is my time to tuck in. The judges have said we've got to be close. So he's tucked in there for John, who on the switchback has just gone that little bit too hard. Didn't quite go into a spin, but did come to a complete stop and force contact there.
Yeah, no, we'll see that on the Good Ride replay in a minute, I'm sure, Dave. You can see that. And what we're looking for, we'll see just an over-rotation from John in front, and it should pop up in Aaron's right-hand window. And just now you can see that over-rotation. Aaron did everything hard on the handbrake to try and pull it up. Just a little tap. These cars will take that. That Bluebird's had more hits this season than I think Elvis had in his first year of recording.
Hey, next time we jump on board with Aaron Jouar, be sure to watch that big monster tacker on the dash. I saw well over 8,000 RPM there, and I'm sure we'll see more of that. Speaking of some aggressive driving, though, we have Josh Botcher out in front using every millimetre of that track, right out on the track edge. Big switchback through the middle. Oh, James Abbott is doing his best to reel him back in, but I don't know if he's going to have the speed there. Nosing out from the smoke is the Hi-Tec Oils S15, but Josh Botcher blazing away out the front smoke there, filling the cabin with smoke and leaving James Abbott behind. Let's watch the position switched, see if that speed difference shows up to a tight chase. Both drivers entering together. Nice angle there on that entry. James Abbott starts to get on the power and pull through the middle section here, but where will Botcher be as they come through the midsection? Beautiful noises there on board with the Hi-Tec Oils S15 as well, but there's that S15 headlight. Botcher is not giving up here, all over the rear quarter of James Abbott.
Well, what a chase. You can see Josh Botcher taking all of these opportunities. A Good Ride replay showing us nothing to be missed for us in the judging tower here. Josh Botcher getting right up on the door of James Abbott there, and unfortunately for James, that's going to be time for him to go home in the top 16. That's just how close these battles are.
On to the next battle, we have Angus Kidd that we're riding on board with here in the Game On Motorsports JZA80 Supra, following Brendan O'Grady in one of my all-time favourite cars, JZX100 Mark II, for those of you playing at home. Both of these cars JZ powered, big turbos and power under the bonnet, but it seems that Angus Kidd's struggling with it just a little bit, having that grip up in the midfield there, getting lost in the smoke slightly. Let's see him get back on the loud pedal here. Couple of bobbles going into turn 6 there, whereas Brendan O'Grady, a relatively clean lead run.
Not too bad, but a little bit of a stall we saw from Brendan in that lead position as he transitioned near that good ride sign, which we deem to cause Angus Kidd that bobble, so a slight advantage to Angus. Let's see how they go turning it around here, and Angus Kidd is really turning on the grip and the tyre power of that Supra. What a classic car that is. I've always wanted one of those when I was a kid. I've never been able to get one, Dave, but he's really, really driving the wheels off this, and you can show demonstrating far better lead line. We always judge when we're judging lead versus lead, chase versus chase. Angus Kidd, basically a faultless lead line. Brendan had a couple of bobbles and things. A great first try for him, winning the wild card, getting up there from the Pro-Am Series. I know he's building a pro car. He'll be back bigger and better next year, but for this round, this time, it's your boy, Angus Kidd, going through.
Advantage for him, but I'm going to be hard on him there. There were a few bobbles through turn 6 there, so hopefully buttons those up, heading through to the next round of battles. But riding on board now with Jordan Graham up against Scott Shembry, both of these very experienced drivers who are quite calculated in their driving style, but it looks like Scott's having a few issues there in the Hi-Tec 350Z. I know they were just buttoning this car back together for the event after having a fire at the previous round, but I got to stop myself there. Jordan Graham, that line on the outside track edge there was the closest we've seen to that outside clip so far in competition or qualifying, and I doubt anyone's going to better it. That was extreme.
Well, you couldn't better that one, Dave. If you went any better than that, you would be in the dirt. That would be a deduction for a wheel drop. That was a cracking run from Jordan. Let's see how he goes chasing down that Scott Shembry in the Hi-Tec Oils 350Z. An immaculately turned out car, Jordan Graham's a full carbon fibre body kit on that, including all the panels, doors, roof, the whole lot. It really, really is a good show. And Scott really, unfortunately, just fighting some steering, I think, in that 350Z. Just not him.
Rash avoidance ducking through that gap, though. Most drivers would have got off the power and probably ended up coming together. Geordie instead just flattened it. I love it. Let's see it from the in-car here.
This might show us a little bit about what's going on. As it looked like, it might be binding up, I think, Dave. He's bounded all the way on the lock. Even with Wisefab in the front of that thing, he just couldn't get it, and it binds up. Sometimes it happens even with the Wisefabs these days.
Another seriously set up car is Levi Clark's Exetti S15 that we're riding on board with there, complete with absolutely Gucci trimmed S15 dash. I love that, but we do have Mitch Doyle out in front, blazing away the Territorian, coming down to Queensland to show these Southerners in Queensland what it's all about. Fantastic drive there, using all of the steering angle throughout turn 6, but the speed of that Exetti Drift Team S15 is just too hard to overcome.
Yeah, I don't know if Mitch Doyle would have been really excited about drawing Levi Clark, local veteran of this track, in his first battle after qualifying P2. But a pretty good lead from him. There was a couple of mistakes from Levi. He's really going to have to put the pedal down and show us exactly what we want to see in the lead run. And so far, he's doing exactly that. It's going to be all up to Mitch Doyle, taking a bit of a dive there to try and gain proximity. That's a big no from us, Dave. He's got to catch him up and stay there by staying on the line. Mitch Doyle not doing himself a lot of favours in this run.
Yeah, unfortunately that middle section there getting a points deduction. We'll check it out on the replay now. So Levi entering just with that bit more speed and using the mid corner there to get going. You can see that front wheel bouncing up and down off the ground. Mitch Doyle doing his best to claw back proximity throughout the run, but it is the slight shortcut in the middle by taking a narrower line rather than the wider line that Levi took, that ended up seeing Levi get through into the top 8, where he'll be facing off against Jordan Graham in that all-carbon fibre 180SX. Matt Van Kirk will be battling Angus Kidd. Aaron Juar and Josh Botcher in the battle of the aspirated V8s. That's going to sound nuts. And Beau Yates up against Mo El Houli, who I know has been hyping up this battle all weekend, so I'm glad to see it shaped up in the battle tree. We're going to be diving into the Pro along with the Famous Insurance Pro-Am on the other side of an ad break, so make sure your beverages and snacks are stocked because the action's going to be coming thick and fast. Welcome back to round 3 of the Hi-Tec Drift Allstars up at sunny Queensland Raceway. One of my favourite tracks in the country, and one that we've had some of the best drivers out there battling it out on turns 3 to 6. Drivers comparing notes, and we've just wrapped up the Pro Top 16 with spots settled in the top 8. We've got the Famous Insurance Pro-Am to come. Drivers getting their cars ready, checking tyre pressures as the track temps change, the sun changes. But before we dive into that, we've got one of our veteran competitors, Scott Shembry, having an interview with a man I like to call hype on legs, J-Mac down in the pits.
Scott Shembry, a tough finish, mate. You've gone from the very highs of coming on the podium last round to being out in competition now. What's going through your head?
Oh, it's a tough sport, mate. When it's high, it's high. When it's low, it's low. But obviously coming into this round, we got the new system in the car, and we had teething issues all weekend. We thought we could drive around it. Unfortunately, we couldn't. Just the intermittent fault with the throttle body. So the throttle body will cut out and there's no fuel in the pedal. So a bit hard to drive behind someone or in front of someone with no pedal. So back to the drawing board. Pretty disappointed because, we were on a roll. I've only driven the car after my 3rd time. So we'll be back next round, mate.
It's the positivity in the pits that keeps all these drivers coming back. You have a good day, you have a bad day, but as long as the car goes on the trailer instead of to the crusher, you're doing all right. And it's good to see Scott just getting comfortable in this car. We know he's going to be pushing because that car is a monster. 2 drivers who've also been pushing, and a battle I've been waiting for. Beau Yates, who we're riding on board with now. Moa Hooley tucking in. But it looks like...
Hurley, mate, what are you doing? You've been waiting so long for this battle and you throw it away on the first corner. If I could reach that far, I'd slap him, Dave.
Oh, I reckon he'd slap you back if he heard you say that. But anyway, he came in with quite a bit of angle there and looks like just getting back on the power. That GarageWorks S13 just builds up so much wheel speed so quickly that bang, straight out to lock stops mid-corner. A very hard position to recover from and an advantage to Beau Yates. But Beau's not one to rest on his laurels. He knows that each of these battles is going to be critical and that Moa Hooley, when he's got it, has got some serious speed. He's winding it on now, but Beau right there with him.
Yeah, you can see Beau very busy in the cockpit there. Not unusual state for him, but he knows that Moa Hooley, he's a lot like Beau Yates. If you give him an inch, he will take a mile, and that small error that Mo made earlier on can be easily overcome if you make an error yourself. This time, though, Beau's managed to sit there on the door like he likes to do, drinking his cup of tea with his scone, and he's going to take the win.
It's interesting seeing the handbrake work there, and it's an area where a lot of drivers are divided. So on these in-car shots, be sure you're checking out for that. But in this case, Beau's using it to get close, to not stay on the power and start rubbing doors. He knows he's got the advantage, but he needs to maintain that angle, maintain that line, and make sure he doesn't let Mo get too far away. Quite a calculated battle there for Beau in the top 8 that will see him through into the top 4. Against one of these drivers, we have Josh Botcher chasing Aaron Duar, who we're riding on board with there. Both these cars, big power, naturally aspirated V8s. Have a listen to them.
That's 20,000 RPM of singing V8. Dave, you know only too well that I'm not a V8 fan, but I tell you what, I was on my feet listening to that. It was the crispest note I've heard in a long, long time, and I'd definitely be happy to send these two one more time. We haven't even seen the second battle yet.
That's it. I'm happy to put that challenge on tape. If you want to have a V8 in your drift car, it's got to sound like that. None of these thong slapper. Anyway, I'm not going to cause any beef with anyone else, but it looks like a big off there from Aaron Duar. Maybe overcooked it slightly onto that entry, and he is very frustrated with that one, while Josh Botcher goes through the rest of the run there and nicely gets himself a spot in the top 4. I'd say with all 4 wheels off from Aaron Duar. I was confident calling that, but I don't mean to step on your toes, head judge Dan Mackey.
No, mate, look, I think yourself and probably all of the couch judges at home will be able to call that correctly. That's definitely going to be a 0, unfortunately, for Aaron, who got himself gapped a little bit there. Starting to see a little bit of Josh Botcher really firing off that line. He's got that car really well gripped up. He's really driving hard, and it's making those drivers behind have to chase hard. And this is the result. Now let's get down into the pits, catch up with Aaron with J-Mac.
Aaron Duar, mate, run us through what happened just then.
Well, I knew Joshy Botcher's a very fast driver and always looked up to him, so I had to go 110%. And I just threw down a flawless lead run and sort of underestimated how quick he was off the start line and went for a big catch-up and, just understeered a little bit into the entry and threw it away, I suppose.
It's a really easy thing to do, and a trap that you find yourself in as the run-ups get longer. When you get gapped, you just feel like you've got to make up that distance no matter what. But if you're entering with more road speed than the lead car, you do exactly what Jordan Graham just did there as well. You can see pretty much a repeat of the previous situation where Levi Clark gapped out in front. Jordan's gone, I'm not having a piece of that, chase him down as quickly as he can. But when they're both entering at the same point on the track, Jordan Graham would have had an extra 10, maybe 20 k's an hour on Levi there. And if you're both trying to change direction with your rear tyres blazing and your fronts holding on for dear life, that's when you end up washing a little bit wide. And yeah, you can see he knew all about that when it happened, but stayed on the power, shook his head, and did his best to chase down Levi Clark in the lead there, who does have an advantage, but these positions will be switched.
That's exactly right. They're going to switch the positions around. It's going to be interesting to see now if Jordan can fire that thing down the road and get an advantage on Levi. We know Levi's quick, loves to be straight on door, and that's one of these things we told the drivers we want to see you on door early, and I think that's having a little bit to do with these guys trying to chase up close that proximity early, Dave. Jordan running a really good lead line. He's hoping to see a mistake, and Levi dropping back a bit, but oh no, he's dropped another wheel. What was looking like might have been an opportunity to even maybe get closer to pushing Levi into that mistake. Levi would have seen that and said, that's me, shut the gate, I am home and hosed.
See, Levi Clark has just done so many laps of this. I mean, I've chased him a number of times through here. He's the local, he knows it back to front, can, drive it with his eyes closed. And you can see Jordan going, look, I've got to do everything I can here to beat that local. Yes, he had the wheel drop earlier on and went a bit wide here, but I think it's the midsection where he's gone, I nailed that track edge last time. Maybe if I just had 10%, but 10% was in the dirt. Anyway, Levi got through, and J-Mac's going to see how he's feeling about it.
Levi Clark into the top 4, and you've got 3 big names in there with you. The result of this battle between Angus Kidd and Matt Van Kirk could be one of them, but Beau Yates and Josh Botcher in the top 4 with you. How are you feeling?
Yeah, unreal, mate. That battle against Graham there, it was sick. I don't know what happened behind me. Apparently he put a couple of wheels in the dirt, I was saying. But yeah, solid driver, threw it in, no hesitations, no back and forth, just a solid, clean lead run. Dropped a tyre out here, but yeah, stoked with these Nexon tyres, Xfinity car, all the sponsors, all the boys, all the family at home, all the fans and stuff. It's great to be out here.
We always have killer fields here at the Hi-Tec Drift Allstars, but I feel that this top 4 is shaping up to one that not only I'm going to remember, but the future generation of drifting is going to look back upon. The last spot of it is on the line here with Angus Kidd and Matt Van Kirk duking it out. We've got Angus Kidd in the lead there, pumping smoke out of this game on Motorsport Super, but running just that little bit shallow on the middle there, trying to extend it out with the handbrake, dropping a whole bunch of road speed while Matt Van Kirk is right behind him, knocking on that driver's door saying, come on mate, let's go.
There's a bit of a straight in there too. I'm not sure if you saw it from Angus Kidd through that bit where Matt Van Kirk was diving. So both of the guys trying to make errors at equal amounts here. It's going to be up to the lead line to be perfect from Matt Van Kirk, and Angus Kidd has to then take these opportunities. He's right there in the door, and did he clip him or did he just spin himself?
Oh, that's a hard one to see because the proximity there, Angus was all over him coming around that track edge, nice and neat between the two of them, but maybe misread the switchback. I don't know. I'd love to see that one again.
A little bit tricky too, I think, because Angus Kidd does have a really fast car. Matt Van Kirk's been a little bit slower. I mean, it is the responsibility of the chase driver to accommodate for that. The Good Ride replay will show us here. Have a look at the close there. There's a close, then the brakes, then the spin. I think that one, in fact, I'm going to call it, that's Angus Kidd's fault.
Yeah, let's watch it from on the car. We can see Matt Van Kirk going wide there. He has dropped a touch of speed there on the switchback, but as a chase driver, you got to read it. Let's see what Van Kirk reckons.
Our top 4 is a star-studded cast. Beau Yates, Levi Clark, Josh Botcher, this man, Matt Van Kirk. You feel like you deserve to be up there with these guys? These are drifting greats in Australia. I reckon you do. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. It was definitely a hard battle to get to this point in this competition. I just rang Angus Kidd, and his car's fast. There's no way I would have kept up with him. I thought he had an advantage, but it looks like he might have tapped my quarter panel and spun out on his chase. So luckily, that happened. I got the win. Other than that, I was floored pretty much the whole run, and I couldn't keep up with that guy. So hats off to him, and hopefully the car stays strong and we keep putting on a good show for everybody.
The shared respect and push by every driver to become better is the reason I love drifting, you love drifting, people love to compete in it. And You know, we've ended up with a star-studded top 4 here where Beau Yates is probably in the pits thinking about where his championship standing is and who he's going to go up against. But, you know, Josh Botcher, Levi Clark and the international Matt Van Kirk, what a star-studded top 4 that could go any way. I can't wait to see this podium shape up. Welcome back to round 3 of the Hi-Tec Drift Allstars, and if the Queensland Raceway heat wasn't getting to these drivers, I bet the competition is, as our top 4 has a star-studded roster in Pro. Before we get into that though, the famous Insurance Pro-Am has seen some equally tight battles, and Dan, I just love this series as a way to develop the skill amongst some up-and-coming drivers and distribute the silverware amongst, you know, a bigger group of drivers.
We're really seeing the level of the Pro-Am drivers step up and up and up, and some of these guys now feeding into the Pro Series and not being embarrassed in there either. We've got Daniel Messmer, last year's champion, decided to stay down. His Pro car's not quite ready. Thomas McManaway came from nowhere, just decided to come and have a crack this round. He's been driving well. Of course, Brendan O'Grady on the other side got that wild card into Pro. So these are going to be some great battles to watch. I'm looking forward to them too, Dave.
Here we go with Daniel Messmer out in the lead. Thomas McManaway just seemed to have a bit of an understeer issue there on the entry. And, you know, once you balk that entry, travelling at that rate of knots, it's kind of just a bit of a spaghetti arms moment of trying to work out how to get the car going again. But potentially that mental pressure or some steering issues with the car has seen Thomas McManaway fly off the next corner after that, while Daniel Messmer gets an uninterrupted, relatively clean lead run in the bank.
Yeah, Daniel Messmer is one of these Pro-Am guys. It reminds me a lot of Beau Yates when he's driving. He's very, very consistent, just ticks the boxes, sits in there, has his cup of tea, and he's gone and off he goes. And you can see again in the chase position, not sure if we'll get an in-car shot, but he's very, very comfortable just sitting back there, doing what he knows he needs to do, getting right up to those clipping points. Not quite where we'd like to see the guys as far as proximity goes, but you do expect that from the Pro-Am guys. You know, you can't... Well, having said that, he's kind of made a liar of me, hasn't he?
Fantastic chase there from Daniel Messmer. He seems to have calculated how much proximity he needs at the end of the run compared to the road speed difference of Thomas McManaway, and starts reeling him in there throughout. But a few key mistakes from Thomas McManaway on the earlier portions of this track handed Daniel Messmer the win there.
What a battle this one's going to be too. Brendan O'Grady and Jack Gibbons really been driving well. I actually expected Brendan O'Grady to possibly... it must be me today. Every time I start talking about these guys and giving them a rap, they're putting wheels down or catching up. Jack Gibbons, big upset there. Driving really well, but I did hear too before the top 4, he's starting to run short on tyres. So even the result of this is going to mean he's going to have another battle day.
Yeah, Brendan O'Grady getting a solo run through there, but it looked like Jack Gibbons on the entry earlier just, I don't know, maybe either ran out of rear grip like you were saying with tyres, or just went that little bit aggressive in the chase position and found himself out of lock. Either way, a spin in the chase position is going to make it a really hard battle to come back from, but a clean lead run here from Jack Gibbons. I mean, he's in the running. We just got to see if Brendan O'Grady can be forced into a mistake in the chase, but look how tightly he's chasing, and that is fantastic emulation there from Brendan O'Grady with a nicely timed switch back into turn 6.
Brendan O'Grady, he's been getting around. He's been doing a lot of driving recently. He was down at an event in South Australia at the Bend. He's been between that, which was 3 weeks before this weekend. He's been over to Thailand, I think it was, as well. Ran in the series over there. So Brendan's had a lot of wheel time behind the car. Him having a mistake, we weren't going to see that, and the famous insurance replay showed us that.
So there's our finals lined up. We'll see Daniel Messmer up against Brendan O'Grady, while Thomas McManaway and Jack Gibbons will battle it out for that third step on the podium. Before we get to see those Pro-Am finals run though, we are going to dive back into the top 4 of the Hi-Tec Drift Allstars Pro class. You can see Levi Clark, the local, rolling out there, but the first battle we will see is Beau the Show Yates up against Josh Botcher in that weapon of an S15 there, tucking neatly into the door of Beau Yates. Coming in together, but it looked like a slight straighten there from Josh Botcher back in the smoke while Beau rockets away. Josh looks like he's regained his composition a little bit, but he is on that narrow line there as Beau goes right through the outside of the track edge. Again, cutting that little bit narrow here to maintain proximity. Oh, there's a bit of an advantage there for Beau early on, Dan.
Lots going on in that one. A good ride replay is going to show us the whole lot. You can see here coming up, Josh has a bobble and almost a straighten. Not quite a all-wheel straighten for a massive deduction, but he did get a big one. Again, a dive here. Not good, not what we asked for. After this transition, the Beau's just gone through there. We did allow the guys to sacrifice and aim at that front wheel. You're right, probably a little bit too far forward, but definitely utilised that opportunity really well. So for me, it's a slight advantage to Beau Yates on that one. We're going to make sure that he runs a picture-perfect chase line, which we know he will. And something weird there, Dave. Josh just didn't rock it away. It looked to me like he may have even missed a gear. Has he got a straight cut gearbox or a sequential gearbox in that? I don't know.
Not too sure there, but yeah, definitely a difference in entry speed there from Josh Botcher from what we've seen earlier on in the battles, but blazing away in the lead run there, where kind of uncharacteristic of Beau. Earlier on in the run, we did see a couple of mistakes here.
There's contact there, Dave. You can see he's really, really slow, and if you listen really closely, you could actually hear that he seemed to be, I don't know, maybe he got the wrong gear. He might have grabbed the wrong gear in that one. I'm not sure. Definitely seemed to bog down a lot slower than his normal entries. Beau right there wanting to be on his door, and that's upset him a little bit. And you can see here he's making the same mistake that Josh does, evening out that battle there. What we wanted to see here was for him to flick around and stay in that proximity. The replay didn't show it, but he was a bit behind him, and it's looking pretty heated down there, Dave.
Right up on your rear wheel. So I do apologise for that. That was very aggressive. But you know, you off the line, you've come in for one round, right? Normally you enter that turn on noise, and you're like rolling on.
No, I had a clutch problem on the way in.
Oh, clutch problem.
Yeah. I did. I went forward. Good. Then back to third. So I apologise for that. But I don't know if you need to ram me.
No, I didn't mean to, mate. I went to pull over the side and pull up the side and then touch him, and it actually just ripped the wheel out.
It all seems very civil and fair down there, but it's all going to add to the hype of this one more time. I can't wait to see each of those drivers run again. But first, Levi Clark and Matt Van Kirk get their time to battle it out for their podium positions. Matt Van Kirk in the lead there, using that track edge, but seem to be repeating that lack of speed in the switchback there, which has allowed Levi Clark to just get all over his door as they switch back again into turn 6, riding on board with Levi Clark. You can see him working that handbrake overtime, trying to slow the car down and maintain pace there with Matt Van Kirk.
The good ride replay there showing that Levi's team had obviously done a lot of work, and his spotter reporting back to him obviously in the car that Matt Van Kirk is slower through this section. Levi then using all that advantage and speed to get up on his door and then just having to maintain it through that big opening radius final corner. Let's get down because I want to hear what Botcher's got to say. He's with J-Mac.
Josh Botcher, tell us from your eyes, what do you believe happened out there?
Look, I don't know why he had to run into me on the way down the straight well after the track, so he has apologised and apparently didn't mean to, but you know, he drives very close on the racetrack as well, so I don't know how driving down the straight's a problem for him, but he wasn't happy with the entry. I had a little gear issue on the entry, but I got back into the right gear and entered as fast as I could at the time, and he wasn't happy with that, so I don't know. And there's no need to run into someone. So, but anyway, we're going to go out and sort it out again.
That's sure to be an exciting one, but we've got some action on track now. Matt Van Kirk in the chase between Levi Clark. Looks like Matt Van Kirk might have gone a little bit deep on that first corner. Levi Clark out blazing away on his own as Van Kirk tries his best to reclaim that loss of proximity from the first corner. Looks like Levi Clark has secured himself a spot in the finals, but who will he be facing off against? Let's hear from J-Mac and Beau for his side of the story.
Beau Yates, as if the battle wasn't already fierce enough, it's ratcheted up to another level, one more time. As a driver, how do you set yourself up for a rematch?
Oh, well, look, we just, every time we hit the track, we try and go 110%. And, I even go up to drivers prior to going out and have a bit of a discussion with them. But with Josh, he always likes to keep you guessing, okay? So I spoke to him about his entry and whether he's using half the track or all the track or what. And you'll just have to wait and see, he says. So, we arrive into the first turn. He's in and out of the throttle. Supposedly he's having a clutch issue and, the battle just ran like that. Obviously, emotions are running high. I'm racing for a championship. Josh is only here for one round this year, so it probably doesn't mean he's driving with no stress this weekend. And we've battled this out many years before in ADGP and stuff, so emotions are running high. Luckily enough, the car's okay. Hopefully his car's okay as well. We'll just go out and do it again.
And do it again they will. We've got a chance for a replay of the other side of the battle tree quickly here, and you can see Matt Van Kirk going wide onto that slippery concrete surface, just a little bit deep in his entry there. Doing a valiant effort to chase down Levi Clark, but it's here that it's decided. Matt Van Kirk coming in there, not quite having the rear grip of that Exetti S15, and it just seems to me like he's tried to match the entry speed of a much faster car mid-corner anyway, and has found himself washed wide.
Absolutely, and that's set one side of the battle tree, but this is still well undecided. There's lots of points to be earned out there, and these guys have got fire in their bellies, Dave. I'm really looking forward to this, and Josh Botcher making an early error.
Looks to me like he's entered a little bit too aggressively there, tried to straighten it up, then tried to clutch to get that angle back and just ended up in a bit of a weird bobble on the apex there. He's done a great job to claw back Beau Yates there through the rest of the section and seems to have exceptional proximity coming out of turn 6. I mean, if we take the mistake out of it, Dan, does that S15 have a bit more mid-corner and circuit speed than the otherwise insurmountable Toyota Genuine Parts 86?
That car is extremely fast. It really has got all that grip from those GT radial tyres and it's putting them down. But Beau Yates has got the Achilles still bolted to the back of that thing. It is a quick car. You said it exactly right, Dave. But unfortunately, that big error is going to be hard to overcome. Beau Yates made an error in the first battle. Is he going to make an error in the second battle like he did? Or is he going to hit those clips, fill that zone, sit on his rear quarter?
Josh Botcher knows that it's all down to this lead run after a mistake in the chase. Beautiful on the track edge there. Beau seems to be somewhere in the smoke, and there he is, the nose of that little 86. A fantastic battle that seems to be decided at either the beginning or the end of the track. Over to you, Dan.
I have to say that this one was won on the lead versus lead by Josh Botcher, but unfortunately for Josh, that bigger mistake he made at the start there cost him too much. You can see Beau catching right up, getting right onto the door. Let's get down to the pits with J-Mac and find out what the drivers had to say.
Well, check this out. Beau Yates de-beating a left rear. You can see it's pushed all the way up to the inside off that rotiform rim, and it looks like that damage happened on the very last corner of that rerun.
Oh, looks like Beau was chasing every bit of grip he could with low pressures in the rear. Quick dirt drop on the exit, did see a D-bead. It happens, but here we have it, our pro final. So Josh Botcher will be battling it out against Matt Van Kirk, while Levi Clark and Beau Yates go head-to-head on Levi Clark's home track. This could go either way, but before we see that, the Famous Insurance Pro-Am, and here we have Thomas McManaway chasing Jack Gibbons in that Running Hearts R32. Beautifully presented car, both from Jack and the whole Running Hearts team.
They always present some great-looking cars, the Running Hearts team. There's 4 or 5 of them, I think, in the crew now. But Jack, seeming like he might have found some tyres in the pits, doing a pretty good job. Lead line so far has been pretty much bang on. He's filling those zones, clipping those clips, getting his way around the track. But Thomas McManaway, again, doing a pretty good job in the chase position. A little bit shallow exit in the corner here, but not too bad run for both the drivers.
This was particularly impressive for me. Jack Gibbons going right to that track edge through the middle there, but Thomas McManaway not only following him, but maybe bettering it by, a couple of mil at least. And I think it's here where you see Tom just kind of having a couple of bobbles on the exit there, learning his chasecraft, learning whether to left foot brake or whether to use a bit of handbrake and how to maintain that angle there. So I'd say a couple of deductions, but this is Pro-Am and it can go either way with both drivers delivering an interesting first battle and Thomas McManaway now getting the chance to lead as Jack Gibbons spins on the first corner.
Seen that so many times, those guys spinning on that first corner, trying to chase up and get on that door. Thomas McManaway, all he's got to do now is make sure he doesn't balk under the pressure of being out there. He's just got to finish the run, and he is going to take a trophy. He knows he's got it. He's pretty excited. What a way to debut in our series.
Quick Sharkers and absolutely torched it across the line there. The Famous Insurance replay here showing Jack tucking in neatly onto the rear quarter of that S15, but I think maybe just tucking in a bit too hard with a bit too much road speed, and as soon as you tap that foot brake in a drift car, you slow the front wheels down and can immediately pendulum the rear around, which is useful if you're using it for an entry, but if you're already on lock stops, it sends you straight into a spin.
Yeah, too much there too for poor Jack Gibbons. And now we're going to see our final. This is going to be a great showdown. Two drivers right on form. Brendan O'Grady having all that experience behind the wheel and being a very aggressive chase driver, but Daniel Messmer out in the lead. He's the guy that's got that little consistency. He'll hit all the clips, he'll go around the course, and it's going to be up to Brendan O'Grady not to dive like he has done there and get up close to him to follow him around the line and gain that proximity. A great run from Daniel Messmer out the front. When we say we judge the lead, that's almost perfect. So a great run there. Brendan O'Grady not taking all those opportunities that he needed to, and we're seeing this now in the famous insurance replay to get into those doors. There's a little bit too clunky from Brendan O'Grady. Advantage Messmer.
Personally, this is a sign of a great drifter from me, is being able to enter hard but exit with very little angle. You know that drifting's before the apex, after the apex is just a power skid. So people doing those nice entries but also aiming at the exit is something that I personally watch for, and that I tip my hat to Daniel Messmer for nailing there. Anyway, Brendan O'Grady now, his chance to lead in that big JZX 100 Mark II. He had great emulation in the lead, but it looks like Daniel Messmer's all over that, but potentially not quite getting enough handbrake there. Seeing that car straighten, and then as he's tried to slow it down behind Brendan O'Grady, Daniel Messmer's thrown himself into a spin. Decided to torch it for the crowd though, which, you know, good on him. But yeah, I think that's his day, run and done. And that's what I was talking about there. Just before this spin moment, looked like he grabbed a handful of handbrake and it just didn't react the way he expected it to. Anyway, that's Daniel Messmer home. We're going to catch up with Brendan O'Grady and J-Mac.
Bogger O'Grady, congratulations, mate. It must be such a rush.
Yeah, that battle was amazing. Messmer is a talented driver, put down a killer lead run for me. It was so smooth. Without that, I could not have gotten so close on the chase. Like, I was confident that he wasn't going to make a mistake, so it was a really good battle.
You could see that from outside the car. Brendan O'Grady driving neatly and fantastic emulation. So great win, mate. Rocketing him to the front of the Pro-Am points, but Daniel Messmer only 22 points behind. Oh, I'm sure we're going to see some tough battles throughout the rest of Pro-Am. Still 2 rounds to go, so it could be anyone's championship.
Great to see the boys developing there in the Pro-Am, famous insurance Pro-Am series. But here we have it, the Pro third place battle. This is what we all came to see. The smoke's going to be unreal. Josh Botcher in that GT Radials S15 with that screaming V8 under the bonnet. Look at him go, Dave. Smoke cloud. Let's just have a little listen. You can hear it reverberating off the hills and the trees around. It is a beast to listen to, but watching the battle, he's definitely got, again, much more line proximity to those clipping points, and so he's picking up all those things you need from the lead point. Matt Van Kirk, though, like he always does, is just there nibbling. He's the slower car, and with such a fast car for Josh out in the front, as the Good Ride replay showing here, Matt catching up and nibbling at that heel again. He's going to have to be a bit careful, Dave, in that when we switch him around now.
And as we've seen multiple times in the past, chasing a slower car can actually be harder than leading. So this is going to be on Josh Botcher to dial that back. Remember that, yes, this is a podium battle, but you can't get too carried away. And Matt Van Kirk here, as you said, very talented and experienced driver. He doesn't crack under the stress of pressure. Neither does Josh Botcher. So both of these guys putting on a fantastic show here. We'll see as they switch back. Beautiful emulation there from Josh Botcher. Just slowly tucking himself in, bettering the line, showing he's got more angle than Matt Van Kirk as well. Almost pushing him off the track edge there at the outside, which is the sort of pressure you want to see from a chase driver.
I'm not sure if we're going to see it here in the Good Ride replay, but if we do, when they come around and they're just in this switch they're about to go to, have a listen to Josh's car and listen for him catching 5th gear. No, he's changed it just before, but he grabs 5th gear, which I think increases his wheel speed, and he's using that to actually slow the car down.
Funnily enough, converting power into smoke can slow you down, so the real quick drivers are pedaling and trying to keep that wheel speed on the rear relatively close to the front. 2 drivers who are experts at that are Beau Yates versus Levi Clark. We're going to see plenty of smoke throughout here, but keep a keen ear out for what the engines are doing, what the clutches are doing, and what those drivers are doing with their driver inputs. Beau getting the opportunity to lead first.
Watch for the big entry from Levi in behind him. Hasn't quite got the angle we've seen, but he is right there from the get-go, sitting in that pocket. Look at that. That is what you want to see. Switch back now. He's got to get back on there, staying on line. He's in that smoke cloud. He's almost blinded by that Toyota Genuine Parts GT86 pumping out that smoke. And look at him again. Another one right in that pocket. He's in that door of Beau Yates.
How well matched was the speed of these 2 cars. You could see Levi's hand almost white-knuckled as he gripped the hydraulic handbrake handle, but not needing to dab it, as both of these cars were putting the absolute maximum traction and power down through those rear wheels. Look at him gripping on. He doesn't need to make that handbrake correction. He can stay on it and stay with Beau there. Fantastic run from Levi that was fueled by an exceptional lead run from Beau.
Two quick cars. You can see Levi's been trying to cool the thing down. It's got water spray all over the back of it on that radio to rear mount it. And here he goes. Bushfire from those Nexon tyres out in front. Beau Yates is right there with him though. Pops out the smoke. He's a little bit shallow, Dave. That could be the decider in this one. Let's have a look as they switch it back around. We want to see him on his door and drive it all the way around to the finish. Here he comes. Not quite close enough.
A huge smoke show from both drivers there, but some technical points to pick up as well. And Dan, I think what you identified in that centre section there where Beau did dive a little bit mid-track to gain proximity back off Levi is maybe the deciding factor of this battle. We'll watch it now. As they switch back together, Levi is going for that wide line. Beau noses forward just that little bit here and places himself mid-track while Levi is going out to the outside track edge there. It's these minute things that end up deciding battles, and there we have it. Levi Clark on the top step. Let's hear from him and J-Mac down on the podium.
Oh, I don't know, we felt pretty good. We tested the car Monday out at Norwell, and you know, coming from the fire and JPP getting the car sorted, like just to come back and pull this off. Well, we didn't get the chance to go to Beau against Beau last time at Drift Masters, which was about 2 weeks ago. So yeah, no, it's amazing. It's just really good to put it against a good driver and be able to take it out.
A huge result there with Beau Yates managing to hold onto his championship lead, but Matt Van Kirk jumping up to second, Aaron Dewar and Scott Shembry rounding out the top four. But remember, Josh Botcher's got himself some points on the board now, and if he comes to the remaining rounds, might see him claw his way up that standing. Same goes for Levi Clark, who on his home track got a win. That's a huge result, Dan.
That championship's still not done and dusted yet. It's been fantastic to watch a couple of errors from these guys that are a little bit further down, but Aaron Dewar, Scott Shembry, they've got all the car they need under them to catch back up and overcome that deficit.
So there we have it, round 3, run and done. And at the midpoint, some upsets. Oh, it just gets me so excited for round 4 down at Calder Park in Victoria. Friday the 25th will be our Drift for Real, and then on the 26th of October, the best drivers in the country go head-to-head. You'll find all the details for that on Hi-Tec Drift Australia, wherever you find it online. Spray the champers, enjoy yourself, watch it again. We'll be here next time.